Okay. I started building press locomotives about 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago now, parts things. Self-taught. I have never taken class in machining, and what I build are 19th century locomotives. So if you're looking at wanting to build a Y6B or something, I'm afraid this is not going to be totally helpful, but it should give you a starting point. I include a couple things here as sort of a background on this before you start. This is as much a mind process as it is actually doing something. You have to accept what's going on. You have to understand what's happening, and you have to be able to look ahead and see how this thing puts together and what you want and the steps required to get to what you want. And to give you an idea of the process, I'll just give one example here. In this particular photograph, we have a 19th century Colorado Middle 10-wheeler, and I'll take the smokestack as an example. You look at this and you think, oh, well, how do I build that? It got, flared things at the top and it got a flare thing at the bottom, and that looks all too complicated to do. Well, you actually have to break it down as in the process of this. You take the thing down into parts. Bottom flange on the smoke box, fortunately, is a piece that comes commercially from no, let's see, precision scale. You can make this if you want to, but it's precision scale makes it, so that takes care of that part. The other part would be I would make this the stacked cylinder. The piece right here is simply a tube made of bar stock, and then I would make the flange piece at the top, which if you screw it up, you can throw it away and do another one without having to do the whole stack all over again. So what you do is you make it and just slide down on top of the stack, and you have all three pieces in place, and there it is. And that's understanding the process of what you're doing. You are going to have to be persistent, and you're going to have to spend some time looking at this and be aware this is a far, far away from a shake the box kit as you can get. And here's an example of what I mean by persistence. I had already made, I think, about 7 locomotives before making smoke boxes, and these were ones that failed on the heavier consolidations making. I made all this up once, and the rivets were too big. It got chucked. The other one over here, you can see the rivet came out of sequence, and therefore that one got chucked. So I had to go back and do it all over again. And this is made from bar stock. So you're talking about grinding the outside and then drilling it out and boring out the hole inside to do this. I'm not trying to make this difficult, but I want to make clear this is, you have to be persistent and understand you're going to have some failures and move on with it. This is exceedingly important. You cannot have visual distractions in the room. You are operating a piece of machinery. It is inherently dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, not paying attention to it. I've never gotten hurt with anything, but it can be dangerous if you're not paying attention. No visual distractions. You can listen to talk radio, but no music, no DVDs, nothing like that, because you have to be able to listen to what the machine is doing and how it's cutting the material. And if you have music playing in the background, you cannot hear the machine running. Also, think of this as a dark room. You're doing photographic stuff. No interruptions. No one walks in while you're working on a piece of machinery. If you're doing a boring job and somebody walks in on you, go, "Hi, hon." You are liable to jerk something and have some catastrophic issues with it. So make sure no one comes in and startles you. And if they do want to talk to you, make sure they understand there are times when you're not doing something cut, like you're doing redundant work of like extracting the bar on the lathe or the mill, and that's time you can say something, but no distraction when you're actually cutting. So we'll move on to the tools. Drill press and bandsaw, you can buy those things at Home Depot or Lowe's. Make sure you get a bandsaw that has blades to cut soft metal, brass. Those are a must. These are some of the suppliers I've used. I always use MSC for what I do for all my machining material. A very good friend of mine who I bought my live steam engine from, always swore by master car. I used them once, never had a problem, but I felt more comfortable with MSC because that's who I've been dealing with. Scale hardware and micro fasteners or screws and rivets you can get. And Micromart, of course, has all kinds of materials for you. You could actually use those. There are others. I just included several here. These are what I'm talking about for the express fasteners and scale hardware. And these are a set of screws you can buy. 100 in quantity come in, different sizes, different lengths, and also rivets come in meters and different sizes for that. Be aware when you're doing this, you are going to be working with fractions, decimals, and the millimeter issues. Decide whether you want to do the metric or the imperial system, but you're also going to have fractions. And fractions are useless actually when you're doing the cutting work. There are things that only come in fractions, materials and items you get, but you want to use the millimeter for this stuff. The materials, I usually use Online Metals. There are other companies available you can use. You're perfectly fine, no problem with them. However, when you go to order, you want to make sure you order the C360 free machining brass. As I go through this, I would suggest more or less listening to this and trying to get a handle on what's sort of the general gist of what's going on. And if you want particulars, you go back and listen to it as recorded and actually take notes when you're doing this. But you want the C360 free machining brass because it is a perfect material to use for what you're going to be cutting. Other things are not as good. If you want to make tires for your drivers, you want the 12L14 steel. This has a lot of lead in it. It's fairly soft. It's steel, though. It's not brass, so it's going to cut differently. It's going to be slower and longer job cutting it. You want brass sheets, only come in the 260 alloy. You want various thicknesses for this, for boiler wrapper and something heavy for deck and a tender, etc. It goes on. And you want a small sheet of nickel silver for the side rods. So if you're modeling the no scale, you want something thicker than you want for HO. So you have to decide how thick you want the side rods to be. There are quite a difference in stuff. Don't go down to the hardware store and buy K&S brass. That's 260. It's garbage. Sorry, I don't want to be crude about it, but it's not any good. Don't go down to Home Depot and buy, I need a rod for my drivers. That is also garbage. It's not consistent. It's not good enough. I use the air hardening drill rod for axles. I got this at MSC, and I use 3/16 for my axles. And this is a very, very hard and very accurate piece of metal to buy. And you just use it for your axles. Do not use nickel, silver, or stainless steel unless you are a machinist. And if you are a machinist, you will be listening to this. It will, if you don't cut it exactly right, it will harden and you cannot cut it anymore. You'll be sorry. You waste your time and money fooling with it. Actually, the steel I use for my tires is as good or better than anything you could use. What you get in a model is simply a spray application of the nickel silver. It's not real nickel silver on top of it. Precision Scale is a great company. There are others available. It's now moved to Pasco, Washington, and they have a huge catalogs online, all kinds of parts. The problem with the catalog is that it is not giving measurements for the parts. So if you want to go buy a boiler front, smoke box front, you might have to buy 3 or 4 sizes to get to something that will fit your model. Also, make sure you get a full selection of the wire they have available from very, very small up to about, I forget what the size is. But this is very suitable for any of your ladders, your rods, piping, whatever you want to use. The Precision Scale and the drivers, the axles, they have 3 different size springs for these in O scale. They're heavy, medium, and light. And what I use a heavy in the first and the last axle, and I use medium in the middle, so it will compress and the engine will actually run over the track very well. Also, Coronado scales and Protocraft are suppliers. These are the ends for the side rods. You can use those to drill it out and put your rod and bolt on there for that. This is your basic tool. The lathe, I've used the shear line now since the late 90s. If you're doing any large O scale or anything bigger than that, this is not going to do. You need something bigger. If you're doing HO or small HON3 or ON3, it's fine. One of the issues with this machine is that it is proprietary. Only shear line products will work with this machine. However, they have a stupendous collection of different types of material tools to use with it. It's a very, very nice set of tools you can get for this particular tool. You go to the mill and you are taking a huge step forward. It was several years before I bought a mill, after I bought my lathe, but actually doing this is sort of a must. Now, this particular mill I bought from Micromart. It would cost about $1,000. I went on recently and looked at it, and it was about $1,500 for this. But I also did a search online, and there are several other mills exactly as this. This is a Chinese mill that says generic, and there are others on there for $800, $900. So there's about a $600, $700 savings if you go someplace else. But be sure you understand what you're buying, because in here in the collet, there are different size collets to go in and hold your bits. And you want to make sure these are all the same. This is what they call an R8 collet, but there are others. So make sure when you buy the machine, you understand what collet it takes. When you order the collets, you get the correct ones. I'd also strongly recommend this type of a vise. This is what I use almost 90% of the time. It bolts down onto the bed here and clamps here and does a real nice job. It's about as long as you can buy. You can't buy a vise much longer than this. Micromart has these parallel set bars. This is one of them right here. And this, you might find come in handy to put in here under the vise to push them under here so it's completely level. This is another vise I got. This is can swivel and also can canter up, which I find useful in some circumstances, but it's not as useful as the other one is. It's limited for a certain type of project to do. Press. This is a 1-ton press. You cannot use a vise because a vise has a screw thing, and the vise jaws will go back and forth on you when you go through. And this is a rack press, and it is true, goes down and does not move side to side. You'll find this required for doing it, pressing drivers. Again, the collets. Make sure you buy the right collets for the machine you're going to use. They come in various sizes, and I would simply buy the whole set. I use this one and this one for my mill ends, and this one and this one for my chucks. This is a chuck that comes with it. And this is a chuck you want to throw in the trash, basically. I mean, don't throw it out, but it is totally useless for what you're going to do. You notice it's tapered. And what you have to do is you have to press it up in there to put it in. And of course, the question is, how true is it? And to get it out and put your your collets in there, you have to take a hammer and literally bang it out, which you don't want to do on a piece of intricate machinery. So I would not deal with this type of collet or this chuck anymore. These are the chucks I use, and these are going to be expensive. There's no way getting around this. This is an expensive hobby. Somebody asked me one time, is there any reason why I want to build a locomotive if I can buy it in a store? And I said, no. If you got a big chuckle out of this. But lots of things you might want to do to make an engine different or to build your own engine, and these are the tools you'll have to get. This is a collet or chuck rather that goes down to an 80 drill bit. It goes up a little ways. The nice thing about that is it has a sleeve here that you put your hand on, and it's still when the machine's running, and you press it down by hand into the work you're doing instead of using the big lever arm. The lever arm is very dangerous to use when small bits. You'll break them because you're going to press it too fast. This is, for me, is a little too big for the machine. It works all right, but it's just a little bigger than I would really wanted. But I would suggest something smaller than this if there's something between this and this. Be aware, when I bought this, This is like $350 for this collet alone, for this chuck. These things aren't cheap. These are high precision German chucks, and they are worth every dollar you'll pay for it. And drill bits is nothing else. The mill ends, these come in fractions, and that's going to be a problem because what you're going to be doing, you're going to be working in decimals. And so there is a sort of a problem with this. They come in again, the imperial system or the metric. You make a decision which you want to use, whichever you feel comfortable with. And I would suggest getting from the smallest up to a fairly good size. Just buy them all, because you'd be surprised when you start doing your work, you're going to be coming up with different sizes you're going to need, and you don't want to call the supplier and pay a hefty shipping fee for one or two mill ends. As far as the smaller ones are concerned, of course, they are not going to do much cutting. So be prepared. They're not going to do a whole lot of work for you. They will be like finishing. And I would also suggest, if you're going to buy these, I would buy several of these because you're going to break it. These bigger ones, that's not an issue. Center drills. These come in various sizes. They come in like 1 down to 00. I think that there is also a 000 made. I don't think MSC has a 000, but they do have 00s. And these are also a must to use in the machine, because you're going to have to put a dimple into the work so the drill bit has someplace to go. Otherwise, the drill bit will drift off and break it and won't go where you want it to. All these things I'm talking about, this is what I use, and this is what I recommend. You can do as you please. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as I always say. But this is what I suggest. This is what I've always used in the past. Again, this is a small drill. They're 80 to 61. I would get 2 of these just for breakage. And I also suggest maybe getting a jobber drill bit set, about 115 different size bits that go all the way from 60 on up to about a 1/2 inch. And you'd be also surprised how often you use bigger bits than you think at first. Tap and die tools. This is, a lock for the die, and these comes in sizes, different sizes for this. I have one tap or die tool that's like 3 feet across. It's so big, it carries a huge bit for it. These come in various sizes, and again, I would get these in the sizes you need. They also come in metric and in the English system. This is a tool for the tap. This one is ratcheted, which comes in handy if you cannot make the thing make a full turn. You could just like a ratchet for all the mechanic would use, as opposed to the bar being fixed. It's not used very much, but when it's needed, it's needed. Also, get yourself a tap and die table. To give you an example of what this is, if anybody's not familiar with this column here gives you the fractions. This gives you the decimal system. This gives you the size of the wire or the drill bit. And this gives you the size of the screw. Now, notice on this one right here, can you see this? You see my marker? Anybody there? You see it? Okay. This means it's a number 2 rod. And this means there are 56 turns per inch. And to drill for this, you need a number 51 drill bit. You go down here, you have the same thing. You have a 440, which means it's a size 4 rod. There are 40 turns per inch, and you use a 43-inch drill bit to do this. Notice here you also have a number 448, which is a very fine piece. The tables you need to do this, to know what size drill bit to use to get it so you can tap it. A machinist square, standard issue, nice piece of metal, and it's perfectly square. Gauge is for your lathe. If you're going to be doing some boring, you are definitely going to need a gauge to see how far you want your boring bar to go into the material you're boring out. And what I always do is I set this thing so this thing is, it's like here, it goes to 0, and then makes one full revolution to the second 0. So I know visually when it's coming to an end, when I need to stop what I'm doing and withdraw the thing, because I can't see it. When you're born, you're not going to see where this thing's going to. You're going to have to rely on the gauge to see it. So when you extract the thing out, the thing's going to go from 0 back past the 0 and down here again, and you pull the whole thing out, reset your bar to cut some more, and run it in, and it'll, again, a gauge here to go around to the 0, and I always have to go around to the 0 again. So again, I can tell what's going on, what's this doing. Cutting bits. These come in various sizes. There's 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch here. And these are your self-made tools. You'll have to make these. There's a number of machinist books available that show how to do this. We've already seen it online, but there's various ways you do it. It comes with this, with a flat end is beveled down like this. That's how they all come, both ends. But all these have to be made to how you want to use the cutting tools. Boring bars. This is the boring bar came with my shear line lathe. This is the one I got from MSC. Very, very small. This will go into a exceedingly small tube cut. And these are 2 others I made myself. Again, these are not difficult to make, and you have to keep sharpening once in a while to make sure to keep working. Oil. Make sure you have a cutting oil. This will be required for drilling and especially for any tapping and dyeing. You must have oil on the taps and dies or you'll ruin them. It makes your work a lot easier and saves you drill bits. I bought a gallon and I've had to use this now for all the time I've been machining, and I still have a lot left. So this one purchase should take care of it all. A brass drift. This is from my automobile days. You are going to have to do some banging on some material here and there in the lathe or whatever else to maybe true it. And you do not want to use steel because steel will bend and damage the brass. And so you use the brass drift and you can tap on it and it won't damage anything. You can actually make one if you want to buy a piece of round bar stock and put a handle on it, or you can buy one, suit yourself. Calipers. Again, all this stuff is in decimals for you want to work on. When you do your actually modeling, all it's going to be in decimals, no fractions. They're not accurate enough. This is a 6-inch caliper, and this would be good for almost 90% of what I did, and it certainly would be good for any HO, although I had to buy a 1-foot-long one for some of my work. But it all operates the same way, and you can lock it in place you want to, opens it up, and get your true measurements. This is a dividing plate. This is something that I found essential for what I was doing for smoke boxes. This is an expensive addition to the tool and something you may not need right away, but you might look at it and see. This is the application of the tool. This is a smoke box, and I need to put rivets in this. So what I need to do is get my starter bit, put in the chuck, dimple the work, and then let's say I want to do X number of rivets. It has a table that goes with this, how many times you crank this around and how many places you go, and you dimple it and do it again and dimple it, do it again and dimple it over and over and over again. And then when you dimple it all the way around, then you take the starter bit out and put your drill bit in, and that'll go into the dimple and it won't wander all over the place. Okay. This is no longer made by PLB. They don't make these things anymore, but there are a lot of companies that make resistant soldering irons. You will need this. It goes up number 5 over here for very heavy work, but be careful. You might want to use 1 or 2 so you don't incinerate, because it will. If you put number 5 on a small piece of work, the work will just incinerate. So you want to make careful what you're trying to solder. You also want not regular soldering iron, small one, like a pencil thing. These come from electronics store to do smaller work. But this is for me, is an absolute must to do this. Now, this is a tool I made, and this comes down to some work machining to make this thing. This set of drivers over here on this on the left side, I got from Tom Mix, who is probably the best engine builder in the country right now. And this tool is made. This is Proto 48, and this tool is made for Proto 48. And just last week, for experiment, I put this in, and it fits exactly between these two drivers. And so what you do is you put your press and your driver, and you press the axle in there. This notch here is for the quartering, and the other side has a 90 degrees off, which is an absolute must. The drivers must be quartered 90 degrees from each other. And what I did here is I cut this out. This is a sound cam. This is my axle I would use. And this is large enough to accommodate the bearings I use and the gear and bearings for the gearbox. So it all fits in there, and I can press the drivers together with this and quarter them all at the same time. But this is a homemade tool. This is not, something you can buy. Another tool I had to make when you're doing drivers, you want to put the side rods in and you put a bolt in. It must be absolutely perpendicular to the driver. If you don't, the side rods will pull. Well, it won't be true anymore. So what you do is you surface the driver. Well, I'll explain that next time. You put a dimple where you're going to put the screw in. You drill it out. Then you take your tap and you put it over top of there and you drive it in. And this makes it so it's true square to the hole. Otherwise, a tap will cock off to the side. It always will. You cannot use a tap without a tool to keep it true. For side rods, I took a piece of heavy brass. There's something else you can make that save you a lot of time. And I measured it out exactly the distance from each driver. These are the screw holes for that. And I would put the journal for the end of the side rod here and the other one here. And then I would cut the nickel silver to fit this. So I had the side rods about 99% of the way there. Now, when you actually put these on the engine, after you made them, there's probably going to be some slight variation, very slight. And so what I do is I find the thing binding a little bit. I take the soldering iron and just very lightly touch the journal box with the offending size, just enough to loosen so it moves a little bit, and then see if it moves smoothly again, because you want the drivers, of course, roll very smoothly. Go down to a local hardware store and buy auto store and buy yourself some clamps for your radiator. But this is going to be for your boiler. And so you'll need various sizes for that. And these work very well for what we're going to show you next week or next 2 weeks, whatever it is. And the last tool I go to is this. This is a type of tool that anybody dealing with copper roofing, copper material would use. It gives you about a 4, maybe 5-inch width bite here that it does not leave any marks. Take a pair of pliers and you'll have the cross marks on the plier, and it'll leave marks in the brass. This is perfectly smooth inside. And this is what I use for bending the flare on the tenders. And that is what you get with that bending tool, is this. And that goes around that way for that. So anyway, I'll entertain any questions. Anybody have any questions before we? No one has anything to say?
If anybody has any questions, go ahead and unmute, please.
Just blown away by the quality of the work.
Well, you can do it too. I will tell you, it's very infectious. It is infectious. I started off doing, small things and graduated up to this.
Andrew, I was curious about your remark about the shear line. Is it because of the strength of the motor that it doesn't work for larger projects? And is that larger scale projects, or is that just?
It's the size of the jaw.
Okay.
The jaws on it will take a 1.5-inch material. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want something bigger, if you're going to have 2-inch material, then it's not going to be able to accommodate it. It's not the size of the motor, it's simply the size of the jaws, how big it is. I mean, I have a 10-inch lathe outside at South Bend made back in 57, and I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Where the jaws are and where the gangway that moves the thing are far enough apart to accommodate anything I would ever do. But see, this bed here is not far enough away from this. You could open the jaws up.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But you haven't found anything in the size locomotives you're making that would.
I have no problem with what I made. And as I said, these are all 19th century locomotives, and I have made up to 60-inch drivers.
And would you ever use the same equipment to make other types of cars or caboose, anything else, or is everything else made not used with making parts out of here? Or
I'm not sure I understood the question.
Well, I guess I was thinking more like passenger cars or something that's actually longer than.
I do almost nothing anymore without power tools.
Okay.
I mean, use these all the time for various different things. I mean, I had to use the one at my mill for doing a work outside to lock in a piece of 6x6 timber in the driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of things used for it. So, but the thing is, you want to make sure you take care of these things, and don't try and ask them to do more than they're able to do.
Yeah. Okay. What sort of safety equipment do you normally wear when you are using this?
I use a pair of glasses or shield, usually glasses. Also, what I have in this picture, I didn't explain, lots and lots of light. I have a regular bulb in here, light this up. And I also have in here, I got this from, I think, Market Mart on a sale. It's also a very intense light, but light is absolutely a must. I have a gooseneck light I use for this to go over top of the work where I'm doing. You want to make sure your guys are protected from this. I mean, pieces like come off. When you cut this, you can get small pieces like this, or you can actually get long squirrels, and that's your best cutting for the type of work you're doing, the size of it. That's going to vary. This size of work, you're not going to get it, but a smaller one, you get a big long screw piece that comes off.
Okay.
And the longer it is, the better the cut you're doing. That's what I'm saying. You should pay attention to what you're doing. If the thing is chattering or whatever else, you need to stop and figure out what you need to do. The bigger the pieces, the lower the RPM. Smaller pieces, the higher the RPM. And brass cuts differently than the steel. Different RPMs. As I said, Shearline has a book, or did, I guess they still do, that gives the tables for different type of materials and what speed you should use.
Okay.
Andrew, I didn't see any rolling bars.
I'm sorry, do what?
Rolling bars.
Rolling bars, he said.
What bars?
Rolling.
Excuse me. My hearing is really bad. So
Okay.
it's me more than you. So I'm going to actually ask
my voice ain't that great. I didn't see any rolling bars for boiler making.
the boiler.
Yep.
That's next week. That's next time how to do the boiler.
When you're doing the boiler next week.
This is simply a piece on the tools and material used.
Yeah, well,
the one next week will be on the process.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. When you get to the these, you'll need these to do the boiler. But you also have to do some work inside to do these. Use this right. These won't do it by themselves. I hope I made this clear to anybody. Clear as mud.
Yeah, it's clear as mud. Sorry.
Okay. I have a question.
As I said, I would go through and listen to this couple more. If you're serious about doing this, you want to go through and listen to this very carefully and what the different materials are, especially when it comes down to your brass to buy. There is no comparison between, the stuff you get in the hobby store and stuff you buy online made for machining. I've used both. And believe you me, the K&S is one pain in the neck to use. I mean, it works. You can use it, but it is much, much more difficult than the 360 brass. And this is what you use for your tires, the 12L14. I had this thing set through the COVID thing, and the layout sat down there from November 2019 for a couple of years and never turned a wheel. And grandkids came over and wanted to run some trains, turned on, and everything ran just fine after about 2 years sitting there. So it wasn't a question of any corrosion. Which does bring me to one point I would say about your layout room. I'll hit everybody with this in the clinics, whatever else. Make sure you have the proper environment and keep the humidity and the temperature in the same range all year round. That's my advice after more than 70 years in the hobby, about how to keep your layout operating.
You talked about using mills. If you have access to something like a Brighton mill, I was curious, you can find pre-designed programs that will drive the controller on a Brighton to produce a certain piece. Have you found any sources for model railroad patterns?
I have not. I prefer to simply use the plans I have, and I will do it all by hand. I have not used a CDC machine. I don't know what you can get out of that. I mean, how it does. I'm sure it is. If you really know what you're doing, it'll save a lot of work. But you better know what you're doing to do it.
I understand.
One thing I did neglect to say in this, that you go to the, where is it here? I would never, ever, ever suggest anybody to buy a combination tool. Shearline has a lathe and it has a combination mill with it. And that sounds inviting, whatever else. There are other companies that have these combinations, but I've found out that when you're doing bearings for your frames and other work also, you will have to have both machines set, and you don't want to go back and reset the machines to do the bearings. You have to do work on one, and you do part of the work on the other one. And if you foul up enough on the other ones, you want to come back and do it again on the lathe and don't have to reset it. The setup is the problem with machining work. If you are to say you want to make part X, you're going to sit there and figure out how you do it and how you set the machine up, and that's going to take most of your time. And that's the simple process of making it. That's the easy part. It's the process of setting it up, the machine, and knowing how the machine works to get what you want out of it. That takes the mental activity. And one of the things I will say that when I look at this, I would suggest, if you have a question about this, see if you can find an old brass Japanese or Korean locomotive and take it apart and see how the thing's put together, and as an example, and get an idea of what you're going to be doing. I mean, I can look at this thing and I can be 10, 15, 20 steps ahead mentally of what I'm doing, so I know where I'm going with each piece.
Mhm.
It's not hard. It's just a question of sitting down and think, okay, I want this. How do I do these steps to get from point A to point Z? It's fun. I mean, it's a fun mental process. If this is not your cup of tea, then then don't go into it. But if you like precision work, like to have some depth of thought of what you're modeling, this is infectious.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I started off, making small parts for a couple of engines. I bought this quote kit of a Mason bogie, and it was an absolute disaster. Parts were O scale, part were S scale, part were made anywhere. And I put the thing, started to put the frame together by the instructions. The frame hit the ground before it even engaged the springs. I had to take it apart and rebuild it so it would work. And on went throughout the entire process of building the engine. And with that, I said, I'll go build myself an engine. And in the process, I built one like this. This is my first building project, was this engine in Midland stuff.
Hmm.
But I said the Mason bogie was the one it gave me to think, if I can rebuild this, I could build an engine. And I built this thing in about 10 weeks. But this takes time. It depends, again, how much time you want to spend with it, how much time per day, how you do this. When I started doing this, I was basically retired, and I was sort of in the middle of a project of building my set of consolidations, first set. And my daughter gave me a call and said, I got a job for you. And, come over and take care of my granddaughter, from the day she was born. And that required an hour's commute each day, plus time over there till they came back. And so I realized my time was no longer mine. I can't take my machinery with me. So I decided I set something up in the morning. I could do some mindless work for maybe 15, 20 minutes before I would leave, go to the basement, do some cutting, walk out the door in the truck and drive over to her house, watch the kid for, the day, come back, spend some time with my wife, have dinner, and then go downstairs until 8 o'clock and do more machining, and then go upstairs and spend the rest of the evening with my wife.
Mhm.
And I would set something up before I left 8 o'clock, I'd set something up for the next morning. So I could do some mindless work for about 15, 20 minutes before I left again for the work. So again, it's sort of piecing things together of having something to do, each time you go down to work. And I got them done fairly quickly. It was nice. I also work on Saturday and Sunday, but I mean, I
Yeah.
know people don't have that kind of time and don't want to do that kind of work. But again, it's your time and what you want to do.
No, I enjoy the machining work. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to move into that part of it.
As I said, I'd love it, and I wouldn't know how it could model any more without machinery. I'd be lost. But I love, working with wood and whatever else. Matter of fact, right now I'm working on a 16th century German galley, and I just ordered this morning a British bomb catch. So I'll be plenty of shipbuilding to do. So I love working with the models. I love, wood and the metal, but there's a certain allure to the metal that it's not in the wood. You enjoy looking at the wood and cleaning whatever else, but the metal has a certain allure to it, a certain precision that you can't get with wood.
That's certainly true.
And the one thing is when you put it together, if you mess up, you can always build and make another one, and you always take it apart. One of the things I learned in my first job I had as a building engines for Pontiac in a dealership in Richmond, never build anything you can't take apart. Never build something you cannot take apart. And when it comes time to make the boiler, that you're not gonna be able to take that apart. But you want to make sure you take these things off. You want to get into the cab. You want to take this all apart, this apart too. You want to be able to get to it. You'd be surprised how many times you need to get to when you're building it. And you'll see a little bit when we get into next week and I go through the building process. Again, I would suggest maybe just sitting back and listening, sort of get a feel what's going on, and any questions, fine. But I would not sit there and try and take notes as you go through this, because you're going to get bogged down and you'll miss things while you're doing that. Okay, anything else? Okay. Next time will be very detailed, a lot of precision comments on how to do this. This is simply on the tools. Again, be prepared. You're looking at, buying, say a mill for $1,000, you're going to spend another $1,000 on tools at a minimum. Same with the lathe. And they're not interchangeable tools. The bits are, but not the rest of the tools. It's an expensive hobby, but very rewarding piece of the hobby.
I'll put in a shameless plug for the makerspace that I belong to here in Fairfax County, which is fairly convenient for all of our members. We have 5 Bridgeport mills, 3 of the metal lathes, and then 2 of the CNC machines. So if you want to use the machines, it's a good place to do it and not have to invest in having it at home.
Let me make the observation on that. I understand what you're saying, and I agree that the investment is quite substantial. I think it may be a good idea to go down and do something simple on one of those, a couple of days and see how you like it before you begin to get really involved in it. But I would also say you will be doing some of these things over a long period of time, and you cannot take the work out and come back and do it again. The things will be set up, especially when it comes to the drivers. That work involves, and I'll go over this next week, next session. You cannot interrupt that process. So, as I said, you want to make a dome or something like that, that's be fine. But if you're actually getting into making frames or making the drivers, that is something you'll probably have to do at home or have some machine dedicated to you for a long period of time until you're finished what you're doing. Remember, when you're doing, work in the lathe and especially on a lathe with a chuck, you cannot achieve the exact centerpiece again. Once you've taken it out, you cannot put it back in the exact same location and with the exact results. It's not accurate enough. And also, again, accurate for tools, when you're talking about drill bits will wander in work. And it will come down to when you're actually doing some of the work, you will have to bore it, which gives you a precision cut. Drill bits will wander and they're not good enough for precision work. Also, when you're doing the cutting in there, you want to make sure you have one piece of brass in the vise to cut it at a time. You don't want to try and cut 2 or 3 pieces at the same time, unless it's very thin brass, because it'll deflect the mill end. It will not be a true cut. I mean, metal will bend when you put pressure on a mill end. It'll bend just like a drill bit will bend, and you want to make sure you have a true hole. So, okay. Well, enjoy, and I hope to see you back next time.
Andrew, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to present this to us. I found it very interesting. I've had a little experience in the
this would probably be the last time I'll give this clinic. So this will be, I've written, articles for the MER and also Model Railroader on doing this. This is the first time I've done where I actually answer questions. This will probably be the last time I'll do this. So you can always look at it online and then, use it use it and enjoy it and whatever.
Appreciate it very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Glad to help out.
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Okay, folks, Andrew has concluded his part. If you can hang in there, Andrew will
how do I
stop sharing.
How do I do that?
Giving me a few minutes. Gentlemen, I'm co-chairman of the 2024 MER convention, and I'm just here to promote, thank those of you who have already registered and invite the rest of you to register. We're talking about Durham, North Carolina, October 17 to 20 this year, obviously. And we have a fantastic rate. You'll probably never see this again. $79 will get you a room at the Marriott, and that is available until September 17th. And we're 3.5 months away from the convention, and so we're pretty early in the process. But we've still got, I mean, we already have quite a few people signed up. For example, on the rooms alone, we've already got 78 rooms booked, and with 107 guests. And Kirk, if you're still with us online, feel free to do any updates, because the registrar will have more updates than I have.
Well, you've
My
got 100 folks have registered to date.
Okay. Okay, it's
So we're
fantastic.
doing pretty well.
Yeah, I had 84 as of June 4th, but 100 as of today is an even
Yep.
better number. So we're halfway to our target. A little bit over 200 is what we're expecting.
I'm
So we're
100th.
100 now. So we're doing.
I'm the 100th.
You are.
That's right, Andrew. You are the 100th.
All right. The next slide shows the basic clinic rooms. The Ford room is where the contest will be. Franklin room is where we will have a T-track. One T-track layout will take over that whole 20 by 27 room. So there's plenty of room in there for that T-track. And the big announcement in this presentation is that we will have 3 layouts available. In that space between what shows as Edison A and Franklin, in that hallway, we'll have an 18-foot by 30-inch second T-track layout. And in just north of what is called the pre-function area, that's called the restaurant area. Then above that is the lobby. In the lobby will be the registration area. It'll hit you right over the head when you walk in the front door, so Kirk won't be far away. But we will have a third layout right in that lobby near the registration desk. And that annually, Carolina Piedmont builds a layout that we raffle off. We raise some money to buy train sets and give them away to underprivileged kids. So that's all looking good. We get 3 operating layouts, and Kirk Thompson has agreed that for those of you who are going after your chief dispatcher AP certificate, you can either bring your own locomotives or run others on these T-track layouts, and probably even the raffle layout. And Kurt will sign off on some hours for your chief dispatcher. We have, I just mentioned 2 T-track layouts. There you go. We can log your time. And the banquet speaker is the president of the Aberdeen and Rockfish Short Line Railroad, which isn't too far south of Durham. A little over an hour drive south, about an hour and a half drive south. And that will be a bus excursion that will be available. We've got, I think we have 18 signed up for that already. And Kyle, by the way, will be our banquet speaker. And we have, I believe we have about 78 signed up so far for the banquet. Layout open houses, we have 24. We might end up with 25 layouts. This summer, if you live up in this area, we're doing preview tours. We have 25 layouts on preview, giving everybody a dry run to get practice and hosting and so forth. So we have a good bunch of layouts for you to take a look at in the area. And yeah, Ken Smith is a new member to us, and he is going to be featured in the October Model Railroader. So Ken is looking forward to that, as we all are in our division. In terms of operating sessions, we have 10 layouts for a total of 13 operating sessions. Due to health reasons, there's a possibility that we'll lose one, but we already have one backup that will step right in, so it won't impact anybody who's thinking about getting into operations. if you are interested in operations, I will tell you that 11 of those 13 sessions are already waitlisted. So we'll probably end up trying to, or I know as co-chairman, I'll try to untwist a couple of other guys to having another session. Model contest room, it's the traditional fare at any MER convention. We are targeting, let's see, we're targeting about 50 plus entries this year. You know, sometimes we get in to a point where we're a little bit shy in entries, but we're really pushing contest entries. We have an N-scale Norfolk Southern hopper available that you can purchase through the registration process. And we also have the convention jerseys. Our marketing manager, Bob Bridges, is modeling the blue jersey that you see. The volunteers will end up with the same thing, only it's in white. So both of those items are available on the website.
Hey, Jack.
Yes, sir.
Question for you about the jerseys. I wasn't aware there was a blue one.
Yes.
Is the blue one what we're selling via the registration page then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
are no white ones available on the registration. They're all blue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
We have had an extensive outreach to what we call sponsors. Those are manufacturers and retailers and individuals. We now have 35 donors who have contributed 72 donations. Those are all going to be in the raffle, with a few of them set aside for the banquet door prizes. But we're targeting 100 raffle items, and we're well on our way to reaching that 100 mark. So everybody's a winner, we hope. And you can see some of the sponsors. We try to encourage purchasing or supporting the various sponsors, and we give them extensive marketing on the website and various publications, including the local and in our division newsletter, in the program books, of course. This is a sample of the clinic room. We have 13 MMRs presenting clinics. Several of them are right here on the screen that you saw today. Andrew Dodge being one, and Alex Blida is with us. And Alex is one of the contributors, clinicians. And you've got Kurt Thompson, Chuck Davis, Gil Brock, Ed Smith, Rich Diamond, Bob Weinheimer, Rick Cole, let's see, Joe Walters, Neil Anderson, Mark Breckbeal, Ernie Little. We've heard of Ernie, I think. So we've got quite a fantastic cast of presenters. We really did a first-class outreach to encourage MMRs to be presenters. And the photograph that you see is a sample of what the room looks like. We can hold about 40 in each classroom. We have 2 classrooms like this. The third room will be for the hands-on clinics. And Ernie, you will be pleased to know that you are already waitlisted on your clinic, JMRI. Piedmont Junction, one of our prototype tours is the New Hope Valley Railway. That's a self-drive to get on. You can operate a locomotive, either 1 hour or a half-hour session, or you can just take a train ride and get behind the locomotive. But what's nice about that campus is that everything is in the open. So you can wander around to your heart's delight and within reason, climb all over the equipment and take some nice detailed photographs. Martin Breckman will be doing a hands-on clinic assisted by Vic Bitleris, and they will be building the structure that is on the bottom left of the photograph. That's a real scale models kit. And if you go down the New Hope Valley Railway, you will see 2 structures there. One, the red building, the oil and speeder shed. And the bottom right, you will see the Golson Depot that was relocated to that heritage site campus about 5 years ago. It's being restored. And Ipswich Hobbies, by Self-Brag here, has that kit available in N and HO scales. That will be not part of the convention, but you'll still see it when you go to the railway if you go down to that tour. And the ever popular Tichy train group, that's Don Tichy in the photograph. We have 2 sessions scheduled with Don, both, well, last 2016, last convention, Friday sold out, Saturday almost sold out, and we are already close to selling out the Friday session. There's plenty of room left for the Saturday tour of Tichy Train Group. And aside from Don being a talker and just a wizard when it comes to metallurgy and plastics and chemistry, the guy is absolutely brilliant. He loves to chat, and his wife and daughter run the store. And the way it works is we can take 40, and Don gives a tour to 20, and he gives baskets to the other 20. And you got a chance to shop through his warehouse, and he always gives you great discounts. I can never promise what they are, but they're typically in the neighborhood 15-20% off of everything. And of course, you know, taxes on your own and no shipping. So that's a great opportunity to go see how the things are made and then go ahead and buy them. Halfway through, you switch off. The 20 that were shopping get the tour that started the tour, they go shopping. And his wife Terry always puts out bagels and fruit and coffee, and so it's a good session. Let's see, Aberdeen and Rockfish. That's the Saturday tour. That is pretty much all day tour. You'll start out visiting a restored depot, and they have a museum inside the depot, and they also have an operating layout inside the depot. There's a restored caboose next to the depot. And after touring that area, you will head over to the Aberdeen and Rockfish headquarters building and see a little bit of museum space over there. And then, and this is all bus, but it's really walking distance, frankly. And you can head over to the locomotive repair shop. You're going to have one of the locomotives with all of its panels open, so you get to see the inner workings, and you get a chance to climb up into the cab. The tour includes a box lunch. So after the tours, give or take 1, 2 o'clock, we're going to be heading over to the Rail House Brewery to pick up your box lunch and a drink, hop on the bus, and you'll have your lunch on the bus on the way back to the hotel. Raffle layout, that's a picture on the left side as to I think last year's layout. And you know, the guys all contribute, you know, wiring, electronics, building structures, the whole 9 yards. And we, for this particular raffle layout 2024 version, Charlie Roush has hand painted locomotives in the Aberdeen and Rockfish paint scheme to honor the tour and our banquet speaker. And one of the other members, I believe it's, I think John Socash has painted it. No, he took care of all the couplers and metal wheel sets and all the freight cars. And I forgot which one. It might be Mike Humble, who he typically paints the cabooses. But anyway, we have a nice local paint scheme to the this year's version of the layout. And local hobby shops, they're all around. And if you want to make an extra day of it, I highly recommend the North Carolina Transportation Museum. Some of you may have taken that opportunity a couple of years ago at the MER convention when Charlotte hosted. But that's worth an extra day if you haven't been to that museum. And that's a cast of characters who are involved. And reminder, register and grab that $79 a night. I want to remind you as well that North Carolina is a swing state. And October 17 to 20 is the height of election season. Why am I mentioning all that? Because there will be top level politicians of both parties coming and going throughout the region. So it's going to be tough to book a room if you wait to the last minute. So don't be competing with the politicians. The Durham Marriott is only, I think it's about 250 rooms, if I recall. So they will go, they'll fill out. So get on the computer. If you've already done so, thank you. And any questions? If not, log on.
Okay, any
Gentlemen?
questions for Jack, folks?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Jack, for taking
Yep.
time out of your schedule to brief us on that, and we'll certainly look forward to seeing you there.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Folks, that's what we have for today, and our next virtual clinic will be on July 21st, and Andrew will come back and do part 2, where he's going to do some actual construction for us. So I think it'll be very good topic, and look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, y'all have a great day and take care.
Thank you, Ernie. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.